raz. Jaka cisza. Alright, welcome everyone for the meeting about post-time testing and quality group. This is our 27th meeting already. We invited our guest from InnoGames, Rainar for the second time already. He's been 1.5 years ago, and this is first time for Jana to be here. Alright, so I would like to thank you also SJSI, Stowarzyszenie Jakości Systemów Informatycznych, who helped us with organizing that meeting and taking over our guest here. And thank you, the person Aoki, who also helped us with organizing that meeting. So the order of the presentation will be, first of all, building up test automation from scratch, the InnoGames way. Rainar will present that. And then we'll make a short break. After that, Jana will tell us about gamification and software testing. What I can add that Jana won an award in Eurostar conference this year with that presentation. And then Rainar will take a short presentation about release management and how it can help us with improve the quality. Yeah, so as I said, we are connected with 3 companies today, persons, InnoGames and SJSI. So thank you again. And what I can also say that we are planning again presentation in December. That will be our 4th anniversary this year. So will be a party and really welcome to join us. That will be in Cognified. So in the company where the PTaQ comes from and was the first presentation 4 years ago. So we plan to do 2 presentations there. First presentation will be Michał Sajdak, where he will talk about non-typical failures, security failures in web applications. And the second presentation will be mine, Karol and Michał. And we would like to talk about our automation. But that will be more or less something about JUICE, open source, collaboration between dev and QA, comparing with the market, multi-threading. So will be interesting. We would like to do some kind of reinventing WebDriver automation stuff, but something really new. All right, that's all from my side. I would like to Rainar to speak. Thank you and enjoy.
Dobry wieczór. No, I'm not going to speak Polish today. Right, my first talk is going to be about my experiences when I started at InnoGames and started to build up the automation there, and how we basically went from zero to doing different things. So the presentation is divided into 2 parts. First part is about getting everybody on board and stuff like that, and second part discusses the technical solution. Just to give you a rough idea what kind of automation I'm speaking about, so I'm just going to start the presentation with the trailers for one of our games, so you get a better idea of how our products look like. All right. A little bit about myself. So I would call myself a developer who understands QA very well. So not the way around. So not the QA who understands development. But basically, I've been working on both of the sides. So I started off as a developer. Was running my own company and web development company for some time. And at some point, I just realized that either I had the choice to be like a average developer or a good QA. So I chose the way to go for QA instead. And I've been working in the QA domain now a little bit more than 10 years. And my current role at InnoGames is head of QA and quality engineering. So I'm looking after the QA strategy, as well as a little bit more technical roles such as performance testing, tools development, release management, and also IT security. Like a year ago, when we started to build another tool for one of our new products, and I was looking for someone who could help us building a solution to test Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is quite commonly used in games development, and finally I found a guy from Romania. He had been working for Electronic Arts, and he seemed to be quite a good guy for that job. And when I contacted him about, his main domain was doing tools development. And when I contacted him and said, I want to build a tool for automating games testing, and then he said, no, that's not possible. As much as I've made my experience in the games domain, automation in games, it's like a mythical unicorn. Everybody is just speaking about it, but nobody has really seen it. Later, of course, he agreed, and then we started to build the tool. I'm also going to speak about the tool a little bit later. How many of you are developers here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay. So the second part is maybe more interesting for the developers than for the QA, but it's definitely interesting for both of you. So what is so mythical about games? The testing of games can't be automated. Let's start with some industry standard excuses. We have got no time to do automation. Has anybody heard that before?
Everybody?
Everybody. Or we have got no tools to do so. So in gaming it's often said the user interface of the game is so complex that it can't be automated. And second thing is heavy game logic. When something is heavy, when there is a heavy logic, how do you test it the best way? Obviously not the manual way, right? So I came up with the following. So games are software, and if it's possible to automate software testing, it also should be possible to automate games testing, right? That is one of the slides that I'm showing on my each presentation. It's the testing pyramid, and just a short explanation. Today we will be focusing mostly on the UI part here. So we're not going to speak about API or unit testing or so on. Why did InnoGames decide to make that change and switch to automation? First of all, it was kind of the value proposition of QA. So when we started, we had a QA department which was completely separated. So once the development team was done, then the release was handed over to the QA team, and QA started to look at the changelog, prepare the checklists, And so each time we went about, I think it was about 2 weeks of testing cycle. What we wanted to have was a product which is ready right away. Once the development is done, we run our tests, and we know that we are good to go to production. Second thing was dependency to external providers. When I started, we used to have an offshore team of I think it was like varying from 4 to 8 testers who was testing Forge on day-to-day basis. But then again, the need for the testing was there only just briefly before the release. And we saw that it was really not a good way of spending our money. So we did some calculations and saw that we could, if we invest the same money that we are investing into the offshore team, if we invested the same money into automated tests, we could have all the test cases automated in only 4 months, in only when investing 4 months of money. So that's why also cost was one of the factors. So that's where we started. We started with 0 automated tests. We had one tester with writing code experience from university class. And we had, as already mentioned, the entire QA team was sitting separated from the development. From skills, we had product expertise, we had the know-how how testing works, and obviously we had the most valuable, what every tester brings with him is curiosity. So testers want to know how things work, and if they don't know how things work, then they'll go and figure it out how things work. So organization separated, resources shared, and yeah, so quickly we realized that this is not really the skill level or organization type or that would bring automated testing forward. So the whole testing process was often like the printer destruction scene from Office Space. How many of you know Office Space? Okay. But trust me, if you want to build up automation, I mean, this is not the organization that you want to have to build up automation. So instead of that, you want to have those guys, the smart guys. Okay, so we wanted to have an organization that supports automation, and from the skill set, we have the product expertise, we have the know-how, how testing works, we have the curiosity to learn new things. So we started to do some trainings. I mean, to bring the skill set forward, and we also made some organizational changes. So as for the organizational changes, we put testers to work more closely with the developer, and we decided to introduce a tester for each product. And as for the skills, we went for to train the benefits of automation. Also started to discuss technical solution, how games work. We did some Java courses, so like really basic Java stuff like data types, for loops, if-else statements. So, and after some time, we were so far that we openly wanted to speak out to everyone that we have made the change, and we decision, and we want to make the change and switch to automated testing instead. So the next challenge here was to get the business people buy-in. Business people usually they can understand numbers really good. So in order to convince the business, we started to make meetings. We started to discuss how much cost or time we would be saving when we would be doing automation instead. So with developers, it's also quite easy. So the developers usually they are convinced about automation. I mean, they are really convinced about any kind of automation. Why not test automation? But they need to see it working. I mean, if you're just going over to the developer saying, hey, we're switching to automation now, then they would most probably say, yeah, but I haven't seen it working. Some notes about the benefits of automation, so faster, cheaper, increasing coverage, giving rapid feedback. Has anyone seen those arguments before? Yes. And I would like to focus on one of the aspects here, which I think is, at least for myself, it's really important aspect. So this is feedback. So why is feedback so important when it comes to automated testing? Imagine a development team that doesn't have that has 0 automated tests. So each time a developer implements something, I mean, runs the unit test, runs the integration test, puts it into the version control, and what happens then? What happens next is that probably after maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, somebody picks it up, tester picks it up, starts to test the feature, finds a bug in Jira or whatever bug tracking system you're using, and then it gets back to the developer. But the poor developer, what he needs to do, he has already started to work on another feature. So he needs to go back. He needs to go back first in his mind. Okay, what did I do like a week ago? Then he needs to check out the code from version control. And then again, okay, why did I implement this exactly like that? So you probably know the story with, or maybe you have been yourself in that story where particular feature doesn't work, and then you go over to the developer, say, hey, the feature doesn't work. The developer fixes something, says, okay, it should work now. You go back, start to test that. It still doesn't work. You go back to the developer. Developer say, oh yeah, I forgot to put it to the test environment. Then you go back. You start to test it again after he has put it to the test environment, and it still doesn't work, and then you go back and developers say, how come it doesn't work? It works on my machine. And the problem with that approach is also, I mean, it also involves like prioritization, it also involves reproducing, and also a lot of testing time that is involved there. Now, imagine the situation where automated tests are rejecting a feature as soon as a developer is coding something and creating an error. So basically, the developer does again implementation, unit test, integrates it into the version control, and then the automated tests kick off. And if they find a bug, the build will be rejected. The developer doesn't continue work on new features. So instead of that, the developer picks it up from there, fixes it, and checks it in again. If there is a problem again, it will be rejected again. But the thing is that we are saving a lot of time because the developer doesn't start to work on several different features from what he doesn't maybe finish a single one. So one more time, the process in in comparison. So develop checking code, tester does the final checks and ready to deploy to production instead of this endless it works on my machine loop. So the main takeaways from the first part. So make sure that you have an organization that supports automated testing. I mean, if you are still stuck in the old approach where your testing department is working as a separate silo, that's not a way to build up automation. I mean, you guys have to work really closely to the developers. Make sure that the tester understand, and not only tester but also developers. Everyone understands the value which automated testing is providing. And for myself, I think the biggest gain, the biggest thing that helped me was I just started to speak about automation. I spoke about automation everywhere, whenever I had a chance for that. And the last thing, of course, make sure that the people who are working with automation understanding the technology behind your software or your game, and also behind automation. So the second part will share some experience we have made when building up a technical solution for automated testing. So we started with a couple of requirements. So the requirements included data-driven testing. It needed to be easy to script. It had to be a generic solution. And then we also had the requirement of supporting a couple of different UIs. Obviously, the biggest challenge here was get those UIs supported. And how did we do that? Basically, when speaking about technical solutions in automated testing, there are two different ways of doing automation. The first one, I'm calling it UI object access. I mean, there is no known way for naming that. Anyway, I'm calling it UI object access. And the second one is image recognition. The advantage of image recognition is that it works everywhere. It is quite easy to script. So basically, you just have small pieces of your screen, and then you can tell your automated script to click on that piece, or you can send keystrokes. Direct UA or UI object access is a way where you can directly just tell the inputs if a click was performed, or if keys were sent to that. You can do much more stuff. Obviously, UI object access is a little bit better way. It's I would say it's more flexible. It is faster, and it's fail safer. So you most probably, when you start to do automation, or when you start to build a technical solution for automation, you want to go for the direct UI access instead of image recognition. So we started to explore UI access a little bit more, and we came up with the following thing. So each UI has kind of a container or something that is holding reference to the objects that you have currently on the scene or on your screen. And by having access to the UI elements, it is possible to find the location on the screen. And when we know the location of those elements, then the only thing we need to do is finding a way how to interact with those. So how to send events, how to send clicks, double clicks, whatever tap, swipe, drag and drop events to those. We first started with a solution that already works. We have different games. I mean, maybe a little bit interesting also about InnoGames. So each game that we have is developed by a separate studio. So a small studio that has all the different roles working in order to publish a game. So we have like front-end developers, back-end developers there. A QA is sitting there, product manager, team lead, and each of those teams. I mean, in order to have the best, to choose the best technology, each of the team can choose their technology. So I mean that's why hence also the requirement for so many different technologies to support. And we first started with Selenium. We had on the pipeline one of the games that was based on HTML5. It was a browser game, and we took Selenium. We made it a little bit more flexible. We put it running on the cloud, and voila, we had passed the first checkpoint, so which was HTML5 based games, so we could automate those. Now, when looking at this, the next requirement was a Forge of Empires mobile, which was built on Cocos. Maybe we can get the picture back.
Just a sec.
Just a sec. I can dance in a while. In the meanwhile, if you... Okay, it's back. So, where was I? Yes, Cocos XXVII and then Forge of Empires. So, basically we had the working solution with Selenium already, and we didn't want to spend too much time doing research, because from research we already knew there is no tool that could really help us, so we just decided to, okay, we're gonna replace just a small part that is responsible for interacting with the UI container of the game. So the reporting part, the scripting part, and everything else remained the same. So can't recall how much time we spent there, but it must have been probably like maybe 6 months or so to build that plugin. But after that, we were able to test Forge of Empires as well automatically. And yeah, for the next games, it was basically a no-brainer. We just built new plugins in order to enable automated testing. The first two took quite a while, so Cocos XXVII and Unreal Engine. But currently we are working on a third plugin, and that is for Unity-based games. So, and we are already quite far after 6 weeks. Later on, we made the solution also runnable on real devices. With real devices, it's a little bit different, because when running it on an emulator, you can easily connect to the emulator. But when running it on real device, I mean, there is no really good way of connecting to the real device. So we built a proxy server, and we made those plugins to be clients. So basically, our tests are currently connecting to the proxy server, and proxy server is doing all the communication with the plugins that we have. And there are no code changes required for the plugins. We just have another build target, which is building the game together with the plugin. So, what to do when at some point you realize that, okay, I have created now a little bit more than maybe 100 tests or 200 tests, Then we just found really useful the page objects pattern. So page objects pattern is a design pattern for automated testing, and in the technical solution, then you are basically modeling each of the pages in your Java class or in your test script, basically. Does anybody maybe from here use page objects? Robert, you do? Yeah. Okay. And I won't stop too much on the page object pattern here. So this is I made this presentation for Game Connection in Paris. I was there like maybe a month ago, and since in gaming the automation side is really maybe has gotten started maybe a year ago or so. Then everybody in the Game Connection, I mean, there were like people from Sega and Sony Entertainment. They were like looking, wow. But here when I'm asking about page objects, okay, it's like 80% of the people are using that already. And here's the timeline of how we went. It was about, I started at InnoGames March 2013. In September we started with some trainings, and then in October we had the first smoke tests created. In February we already had the 200 test cases, so then we switched to the page objects, help. 2014 September, around 1.5K automated tests, and this one is a little bit outdated, but we should be currently running a little bit more than 2,500 automated tests for all of our products. So what are my main takeaways from here? So I think first the important thing is to start with the easiest solution. So I remember when my automation team, including Robert here, was struggling to come up with a tool for for testing Flash-based applications, and I mean we were looking at different solutions. There were like RanoRex. And there was also a tool published by Adobe, which was called Genie, if I remember it correct. And we tried that, and then there was like really nothing. There was one tool doesn't work one way, another tool didn't work another way, and I just had to step to the guys and say, hey, why don't we use image recognition instead? And after starting with the image recognition, we had really amazing results, because after 1 month we already had, I think, like 200 test cases, and after 2 months we had like more than 500 test cases automated. There are no perfect tools on the market, obviously. When developers are writing software, there is no software that they can immediately take and use. I mean, obviously, you can take some software if what you want to use for your project, but you still have to modify that. So, if you, as a test automation person, are not finding the right solution on the market, don't get desperate. There is no perfect solution. You have to do the perfect solution yourself. I mean, either it can be that you can just modify, like we did for enabling support for AngularJS. So we just took Selenium and put some more script execution sections in place, and it worked. Or you have to build the tool on your own. Um, and another one is designing tools for the user. So for one of the projects, we decided instead of going to, we saw that the page object pattern obviously works. And we started with a new project, and the testers in that project, they weren't too experienced in writing Java or in writing automation. So instead of going for the page object pattern, we decided to go for the bot style tests instead. And in fact, that also helped us giving a really good kickstart for the project, because the tester, through the simplicity of writing those tests, also quickly learned how to write them, so he could adapt the page object pattern later on much faster. Right. Final conclusion from here. So I would say games testing is definitely benefiting from automated testing. Anyhow, breaking away from the old mindset is a little bit difficult. And if you want to succeed, then first of all, work on the organization structure. Make sure that you have an organization that supports automated testing, and get everyone on board. So keep speaking about automation like there is no other way of doing testing. Right, that was it. Q&A.
Having in mind that you're working in the gaming industry, and I'll just ask you two questions. Alright, you have developed 2 or 3 plugins to the games. I have in mind Unreal or any game made in C++. So we're not about the page object, but the communication that you have with your framework, and you have already moved to 2,500 test cases. Have you ever think about the exploratory testing? I mean, to create some bot in the game, which is looking, I don't know, for example, some horse or some hero in the game, and that is looking for the whole map, that is looking for the gaps, for example. And the second question, okay, I agree with the microphone. Have you ever think about the chaos banking? That you can make a bot that would make some random, I don't know, events or random moves or whatever, and probably you are looking for any exceptions or any errors.
I'll start with the second question, or second answer, or the answer to the second question. So the question was like for really doing like random kind of testing.
Yeah, you prepare some bot, some behaviors, and okay, you connect with the plugin. You have maybe some hero in the game, and he's making some chaos.
Okay, chaos we don't do, but our tests, they are all written that they are following. We are not testing like screens, but we are testing rather like user stories. We have like a new user test, which is registering an account, logging in, then starting to build a city, recruit the units, and then doing that kind of stuff. And while testing, we also not automatically. In fact, we are building such a feature for Unity, Unreal Engine right now, where we're also automatically parsing the logs to see if there are like any errors and exceptions in there. But for for really doing like random moves,
And just
we haven't. I mean, we have so much other stuff to focus on, so we haven't thought about it. But yeah, it sounds interesting. And sorry, I forgot the first question.
what about the exploratory? That's okay. This is not the cards market. This is the some hero in the game, I know, which is just trying to let's say move all around the map, like at the edges, looking for the gaps, looking for the places where you start. For example, I used to play in the Lineage. This is some role-playing game, and I found some places where you can go with your hero, and you're stuck in the mountains or in the right by the river because the map was not very good implemented or something.
In fact, we are working on something similar right now, and that is for the game which is built on Unreal Engine. That's a new game, so it's not out yet, but I can say the game is a little bit like it's an RPG, and it's running through a building. Maybe I can say so much. And one kind of testing that we are doing there, like randomized testing, is to make sure that the character is not able to go through the walls. Makes sense, right?
Hi, I would like to ask you, could you give us some clues about the image recognition? Which tools were you using or something like that?
For image recognition, we are using Seculi. So for Seculi, there is a tool, a UI tool available, as well as a Java library, and I think as well Ruby.
By the way, how were you dealing with the Flash games?
Image recognition. I mean,
events, triggering or whatever.
Triggering. So basically, our tools work as follows. We have access to the UI objects. Each object knows where he is, where's the location, and for the interaction, we can already use the OS native functions. So you can, for example, use Java robots there. Right? Anyone else?
So did you release the plugins, like open source or maybe Ruban? Because it looks like some kind of WebDriver implementation, yeah?
Yes, exactly as you said. It's a remote WebDriver implementation, and we are planning to put the Cocos tool open source next year.
And the second one for the Unreal Engine, we're not planning to use that.
I mean, we'll see how the launch of the game is. Sometimes it also happens we are not launching a game. So when we are not launching, then at least we will make the software for testing available. Any more questions?
Just following the questions before, the third part or third idea which comes to mind in my mind is, do you ever you think about the AI, artificial intelligence, in the way that's okay, you have 2,500 test cases which are formal, which are written, and you're expecting to be passing in the interview. But have you ever think about the AI? So I have in mind that something will use these cases to learn.
One place where we can, in gaming, where we can use AI, and where we're also doing it right now, is balancing. So balancing is dealing with, for example, how many resources each player is gaining, or how far somebody is in the map. I mean, to make sure that somebody is not advancing, or there are no loopholes to advance through the game really quickly. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, this is also kind of where we do artificial intelligence as well to play through those scenarios that we have kind of fair playing for everyone. and second, of course, is performance testing. Right? Any more questions? Okay, then my last slide. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rainar. Let's take let's say 10 to 15 minutes break, and let's meet again after that. Sorry, there is Jacek. You opened the room yet? There is some food to eat and drinks.